Welcome to Aviation Marketing Hangar Flying, episode number 117, Digital Marketing Glossary, and why would we want one?
Exactly. I think that'll be self-explanatory after we get through.
Exactly. All right. So it is no surprise, right, that digital marketing can be complicated. It's
Right.
complicated even for us. We actually go to several conferences every year, and we attend a lot of webinars, and we do a heck of a lot of reading to stay up on digital marketing because it is changing every day, week, month.
It's continual change.
Absolutely. And another thing about digital marketing is that it is almost like a foreign language, right?
Yes, even to the involved.
Exactly. We're always learning new words. Fabulous new words, which is great, but it is also very confusing. So I'm going to start with a story about how things can go wrong and how this, how can we can relate this to aviation and to what we do. So this is our youngest.
Which one?
Which one? The tall one. The tall white kid is actually our youngest kid. He was in the Peace Corps for a number of years, actually 2.5 years, in Morocco. And the way the Peace Corps works is that they send them off to live with the family and fend for themselves for the first 3 months. They don't do much work at all. They basically just try to function in society, right?
Yeah, they're in language school for 3 months, living with their host family, trying to figure out what in the world they got themselves into.
Exactly. And then after that, they get a job. And in Mickey's case, his job was to be a teacher in this little village in the Atlas Mountains, which, is pretty remote and pretty rustic. And
Very rustic.
very rustic. So their expectation is that he would live like a teacher would live in that city in Morocco.
Exactly.
And so he had, as we said, I'm actually really, really proud of what he did. He's got did a lot of good while he was there. But one thing that was really challenging for him was his apartment. Now, it's hard enough for a person who has an apartment to figure out how to work everything and everything else. But this apartment was amazingly rustic.
Spare.
Right. This is his kitchen, right? We went down to Morocco for a couple of weeks and spent some time with them and tried to help figure out some of the living situation. They have different power, they have different everything. And we bought a little oven for him, for his kitchen. I'm not going to show you a picture of his bathroom because we didn't take one, but he didn't have a water heater, right?
Right. The only thing they had in the bathroom or anywhere in the place was cold, as in ice cubes coming out almost water.
Right.
So that's what was available for showers before
And
we showed up.
winter was coming, right?
Yep.
So, being parents and really freaked out about all of this, we decided this is completely unacceptable. So, we went to a little hardware store in Morocco, which is actually just kind of a hole in the wall, where you talk to the proprietor of the hardware store and tell him what you want, and he goes and gets it, right?
Well, you have to understand, in a typical hardware store in this country and in Europe, I've been there,
Mm-hmm.
you walk down the aisles, you see what you want, and if you can't really find it, you ask somebody, and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
In this town in Morocco, you don't walk down the aisles. There is a counter across the entire front of the store, and I say that it's probably 15 feet long, and the rows of shelves with parts and pieces go back 100 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to discuss. Discuss, meaning explain to the gentleman on the other side of the counter what you want
Mm-hmm.
and how many and so on and so
What
forth.
size and everything else. And this is a problem, right? Because we have 3 people involved in a conversation. I was basically a bystander, but of the 3 people involved in the conversation, we have 3 different topics, right? We have plumbing, of which John and Mr. Hamid knew plumbing, right? We have English. John and Mickey, our kids, spoke English, and Arabic. And Mickey and Mr. Hamid spoke Arabic. So we have a triangle where of these 3 people, none of them knows everything they need to know in order to have a complete and good conversation, right?
Right, and there's a punchline at the end of all this, but we didn't know that until later.
Exactly. Well, tell the punchline. That's cool.
Not yet.
Sure. Yeah, because next we're going to relate this to aviation and how that works.
Okay. So after all this back and forth between the three of us, I looked at Mickey and I said, with all the stuff you're buying, you ought to get a volume discount.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy deadpan looks at me and says, no volume discount in English.
Right. So Mr. Hamid did know a little bit of English,
Yeah.
But the point is, Mickey didn't really understand plumbing well enough to know the names of the parts that he needed for this water heater. Mr. Hamid didn't speak English, or we could have just done it that way. And John didn't speak Arabic. So between all of that, it took all three of us to figure out all three of them to figure out what the heck they were doing and how to make it work, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The good news is we did get a water heater installed so Mickey could have hot showers. So
Right.
All's well that ends well. Okay, so let's assume that you are an aviation company that wants some kind of digital marketing done. You're in the same situation, right? You speak English, right? And the people that you're talking to speak English, so that's kind of in common. But there's also digital marketing and aviation, all of which are kind of different languages, right?
Oh, well, yes, those two at least are very different.
Right.
They use English, but aviation and digital marketing, oil and water, they typically don't mix well.
Exactly. So, basically you need somebody that speaks all three languages in order to get anything done, right?
Yes.
So, if there's someone on your staff that knows a little bit more, is a little bit more of a digital citizen, or knows a little bit more about technology, that can be really helpful. Or if you get a digital marketing company that knows something about aviation, that can be, of course,
Better.
really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And so on. And of course, you want somebody that speaks English, because if you're doing this outsourcing, you've got yet another problem, right?
Right.
Okay. So that's the situation that a lot of us are in when we're doing digital marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason that we like to have both specialties, the aviation and the digital marketing, right?
Right. We learned the language of digital marketing years ago.
Yeah, and I learned the language of digital marketing before you did. Well, actually, yeah. You knew the language of aviation. You're almost a native. You've been speaking that since you were 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. And all of us speak English. That's
Thank
goodness.
for that.
That's astonishing. All right. So, vocabulary is incredibly important. And, we asked on Facebook for our aviation sales training course because we thought a glossary of aviation terms was really important. What are the dead giveaways that you're not talking to somebody that knows aviation? And we got 45 responses in 45 minutes. And some of these folks were incredibly exasperated and amused and everything else that people didn't understand the language of aviation.
And they're in the industry, so what in the world's up with that?
Exactly. And so, this is one of the slides from that aviation sales training course. There are some things that are very specific to aviation. Same thing about digital marketing, right? There's all these words that are just unknown to people who don't work with this all the time. And it's totally understandable that there's going to be misunderstandings. Worse than that, there's going to be people who try to swindle other people, right?
Yeah, it's bad enough you got to be in aviation, you don't know aviation, and there's no reason for you to learn digital marketing when there's folks like us that do know it, and aviation.
Exactly. So we've been hearing lately from several folks, probably several folks a month, that have a negative opinion about digital marketing because they've been taken for a ride.
Yep.
Quite frankly. And whether that was intentional on the part of the company by not spending the time to make sure that their customer understood what the expected results were going to be, or whether it was a misunderstanding over vocabulary.
Just lack of communication.
Exactly.
Could be either.
Either way, the end result is the same.
Yes.
The aviation company ends up feeling swindled or disappointed or at least confused and frustrated that this was more work than they thought it was going to be and it wasn't quite what they thought.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Which is too bad.
It is. It really is, because digital marketing actually is just like any other tool in your toolbox, in your marketing toolbox. It has its pros and cons. And it has some really good pros. There's a lot of things about it that we really like, and there's a lot of things about it that are really cost effective to accomplish specific tasks. But it's not magic, right?
Nothing here is magic.
Nothing here is magic. Exactly. It's all just a matter of, does it work for the thing that you want it to do right now? Will it accomplish the specific task that we're trying to accomplish? And it's really important for us to understand each other in order to get that done. So whether you're buying digital marketing services from us or from somewhere else, if you're buying digital marketing services from us, I do my darndest to speak English. And John elbows me in the ribs every time I'm not speaking English and I start speaking nerd, right?
Would I do that?
We do try very hard to make sure that everybody in the process understands what the situation is and what the expected results are, and so on. And we understand, and we are perfectly willing to spend as much time as it takes to make sure that everybody's comfortable, right?
And though we say that in jest, I do poke in her ribs on occasion because she works with us all day long, and it's second nature to her, and it's not to you guys.
Well, it's just like aviation language is second nature to you. I got my private pilot rating after I was 35, so it was not a native language for me. I had to kind of struggle with some of the terminology and some of the, verbiage being thrown around like it's nothing by aviation people. So I get the other side of it, and I hear the frustration and everything else. So that's why we put together this digital marketing glossary. So you can download it, and at your leisure, if you're working with someone on digital marketing services, or if you're working with us on digital marketing services, we want to make sure that everything is as clear as it possibly can be. And in a lot of cases, that's a conversation. That's probably the best way to do it. But failing anything else, this is always available to you. So you can either go to the web page and get it, abci1.com, Digital Marketing Glossary, or you can simply talk with us, and that's probably the best thing, is to have a conversation about what you are looking for, what results you're looking for, what tools are best to get that result, and how long we think it's going to take, how much we think it's going to cost, all of those things we can talk about.
And if you hear a term that you are not familiar with, please be sure to ask.
Yes, exactly.
We're okay with that.
We are totally okay with that. We want to slow that down and make sure that we understand it. And also, if you're in a situation where you've been working with someone and you're not sure if things are the way they should be, we do give second opinions. We give 30-minute consultations. If you go to our website and click the Let's Talk button there, you can schedule 30 minutes with us, and we can go over what your situation and your concerns are. And in some cases, everything's great. In other cases, things may not be what they should be. Right?
Yep.
Okay. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.
As a matter of fact, we will. The people of Visana.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
If you're going to be at the Visana conference in San Diego, we will be there next week, and that will be fun. So, hopefully we'll see some of you there.
Right. Have a great day. Ciao.
Bye.